we keep our boat at Saline. I was looking through Facebook, well, our boat was in H, and if you heard the news, H sunk with the ice. Last year we didn't pull our boat out, but this year we pulled it out early. I heard him, I said, what doctor were you sleeping with? He said, H, not anymore. So we got
we'll kick this thing off so we can get out of here. And I enjoy this visiting, I'm telling you, you know I do. Thank y'all very much for coming to our February 26th meeting. And we will try to make this move. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, and it's all good as far as I know. So I like that well. You got a song over here, my friend. Tape running, good. Thank you. Todd, if you will, call the roll.
All right. Dickie Kittner, sales.
Here.
Bobby Westbrook, City of Haskell.
Here.
And I'll wait till he comes back in. Mayor Mike Kent, Shannon Hills, absent. Jason Temple, Southwest.
Here.
Kim Couples.
Here.
Jamie Reagan, and City of Benton, Todd Peterson, I'm here. And Ted Taylor has the proxy for the City of Bryant. He's here, but...
He's here, he just went in the restroom.
Okay.
He went
to make copies.
Make some copies. Yeah. I was being nice.
That's all.
I agree. All right, sir.
All right. So we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I declare this meeting open for business. First thing, everybody had a chance to look at the minutes of the January 22nd meeting. Any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to accept.
Okay.
Yes, I'll make the motion to accept.
Second. We got to second that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Financial report. Ms. Rhonda.
Yes, sir. How are y'all doing tonight?
Good. Good to see you.
Lopsided over here.
Yes.
That's okay. Just to run over what was sent to you earlier. The financial statement itself shows in the easement acquisition account, we wrote $145,000 worth of checks for easements. And got $147,000 because we transferred over that $100,000 from the meter fee. So remember, this is January 31st. We're almost to the end of February, but this happened back in January, which left us a balance in that account of $70,000. And just for y'all to be aware, we're doing fine. We've got about $49,000 left in it. We've received some checks this month and all that, so it's going good right now. The general operating, you can see we wrote $147,000 worth of checks. We deposited $284,000. If you remember, some of it hit in January because I was gone on my little vacation, so you're seeing that now instead of a negative figure that you saw last month. $112,000 there as of the end of January. Our meter fee account, we took out that $100,000. You see that negative figure in that because we transferred it, and then we added in $7,200 in January, leaving us a balance of $123,000. And the gateway CD has not changed. So that's a pretty quick review of that piece. I always include that statement of financial position so you can see where things tie back to the balance sheet. The statement of financial position is not truly a balance sheet. This month, and I'll cut off some of these so it won't get much smaller on y'all, okay? Because I'm not sure I can read them this month, but anyway. I like for y'all to have the history because, believe it or not, some people go back and look at that, okay? Anyway, I will be billing, and that total did not get put on there, but you can see the bills in January from checks 128 through check number 3103 that are there. I'll be billing all of those. I do have $23,000 worth of easements that are ready to go, but I'm going to be adding to that. And I will let you know that if y'all are fine with that, because the easements are coming in quickly. Me waiting for you to approve them, you know, every month before I file for reimbursement is just going to push us behind. So I'm going to probably be doing 2 requests for reimbursements for easements each month, and they're fine with that. I mean, they're starting to really roll in, so I've got several thousand more to add to that one. So I'm just gonna be doing those, and I will keep you informed on them, you know. So you're not gonna be uninformed, I'm just gonna do it without.
Amount left on the money?
Yes, sir, and that is on this
Okay.
running total sheet.
Yes, ma'am. You had it.
Huh?
I knew you had it.
Yes, sir. Right now, it is showing 3.2 million on there, but you probably need to take off another 20 or 30,000 because, like yesterday and today, I've written some more. So,
Good.
but that's where we're sitting at, is right at 3.244 million left on the ARPA funds.
That's it.
And it does get confusing, I know. When you look at that ARPA fund list, the two that say waiting on it, we received those 2 checks. Now, I will be billing the 144,000 and the 23,000 tomorrow. Okay? And then the last 2 down there, just so you will see some of the checks I've written today, and some of those easement checks that are sitting out there that we've written, and we're working on those easements. So I like to keep tabs on those also. Because they may get passed and turned in at any moment, so you just need to know that they're coming.
Good.
And they are taken out of our easement account as if they have already gone to people. So when you see that easement account balance, those have been taken out of it in QuickBooks. So I'm not waiting until I get them back, them saying, oh, they've signed that easement. I'm going ahead and putting them in so we have a real idea. I don't want us to get caught.
Good.
Anyway, you saw my little notes there. On those notes, just we got with Todd. Todd is now check signer along with Dickie. We got those things changed over. I've got to get with you and get Gateway CD changed over. We'll do that in the next week or so. That one wasn't as urgent as the others. And in doing this, we had a discussion, and I would like to make the recommendation, and then y'all can talk about it as a board. I feel like since we require 2 signatures on checks, if we're really going to do it that way, require 2 signatures on checks, I think we need more than 2 check signers. That's all it's going to take. Okay,
It's on there.
good. That's my recommendation, so
Thank you.
it is not Dickie or Todd's recommendation too. We all felt like that's something we all considered. So there you go. That is
Keep
it.
doing that. You keep catching me. Good.
Well, I just want you to know that it's a good recommendation,
Yes, ma'am.
okay?
Hey, Rhonda, this is really good stuff. One of the things I was kind of wondering, is there any chance that between you and Sean that we can do some projections on the remaining easements that we need to get to kind of see if we still have the funds out of the ARPA funds to kind of cover all that?
Yeah.
And anything that's kind of sort of, what we know is going to be planned expenses, how much can we get out of this remaining $3 million?
I can definitely, and I'm sure that Sean, where are you, Sean?
Right.
You guys know that package of easements better than I do, to let us know what's left sitting out there.
That gentleman behind him does very well.
Yeah, that y'all can give us those numbers. The regular monthly expenses are pretty much averaged out. I can give you those. I mean, Chris' bill is always in a certain range.
I'm not saying that's our goals.
Right.
In
But I can
the
give
back
you
of
an
my
idea.
head,
Oh, that's good.
I'm thinking it would really look good if we had all our easements acquired before that $3 million. was
Be
done.
nice.
And plus more.
It's been our goal.
Yeah, it would be nice to do that. So I can work on that this month.
Now see how good we can hit that. That'd be great.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't know of anything.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you, Ms. Ron.
Thank you.
Not any questions for Rhonda. I would entertain a motion to accept the financials.
I'll make a motion that we set the financials as they were presented by Rhonda.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Old business. Update on easement acquisitions. John, would you like to put this up, and Perry, if you need to, chime in right there. I know you've been working on them too, sir.
All right, so you got your paperwork there to look at. I'm going to apologize because my spreadsheets are out of date as of noon today by about 4 lines on there. So that's how fast things are actually coming in. So I had 4 different landowners contact me after lunch today. So
Wow.
so the spreadsheet is out of date. Anyway, really the easements are going super fast right now. And I don't know, we're getting into some really big easements now. So there could be a possibility where I request y'all to put a little bit more money in Rhonda's account. I don't know if that's going to be something we have to do the next meeting or not, but if some of these fall in line, it's going to be a pretty quick deal. So, obviously, everything that's in green is done. The yellow stuff, we're in negotiations on. When you look at the very last one, there's some different colors that you haven't seen yet. The purple is stuff that's been mailed out, and the orange is stuff that Rhett and them are pushing through Perry and coming back to me. So that's where we're at on a lot of those. But there's a few things in there where we've got some red highlighted. If it's highlighted in red, then I either don't have a good address or phone number, contact, something like that for those. So still working on a few of those. Volkert's got some easements now that they're working on the Highway 70 side of things. So anyway, it's going quick. So, and Perry's been working on some stuff too. So we've had one of the phone calls today, it was needing to update an easement document that we sent, just take some names off. So anyway, we're getting stuff like that. So, but everybody seems to be pretty happy with it. And I was talking to Brett just then. I think it was 2 point.
We did a calculation a couple months ago. It was 2.7 million to finish from where we were at the reservoir.
Good. Yes, sir.
And that was before we got some stuff adjusted on the appraisals. So it ought to be less.
That's all the way to the water treatment plant, you said?
Yeah.
The 2.7 million, I didn't hear the context. Is that what we think the total easement package will be, or is that what's left to be
Yeah,
done?
it's a rough estimate from the reservoir to the water treatment plant. It was about 2.7.
Okay.
2.7?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was based on the appraisals and I
That'll
just
work.
the length of the sections that
Yep.
showed the appraisal.
Of that 2.7, how much have we spent already?
That would be Sean or Rhonda.
Yeah, we'll have to.
We spent, so we spent, so we've already paid for some of that 2.7, so we got enough money left to get them,
So
potentially.
Yeah.
No surprises. That's right.
Sean, just a little curiosity on the intake to the TSR. I noticed that McGeorge Contracting still is that still in negotiation?
Yeah, they're good. It's just, it takes a lot of signatures for them.
I gotcha.
Or not even signatures. It has to pass through a lot of
The corporate board?
Yeah, and so they had a few questions. One of them was how close could they get to the 50-foot if they're
Yes.
digging a quarry?
Right,
You know,
yeah.
and so.
Yeah, they
that's some
wanted to
stuff
move it
they're
as a
trying
result of being as far away from the projected.
They're trying to figure some of that out.
Okay.
Might have some questions on that, but really, they're good with it.
Okay.
It's trying to work the details out for them.
I'll tell you, the city of Benton's also working with them, trying to get a piece of property in. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Put that pump station I was telling you about?
Yes.
It's on their property.
Well, we initially made contact with them because McGeorge built us a really nice $20 million roadway. We thought
Okay.
maybe- And then we even talked to them about possibly purchasing raw water off of this. But we never heard anything from them.
We struggle back and forth. It's long periods of silence between conversations.
And every time I talk to them, they're good with it. It just has to go for somebody else to look at.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's good. And I did have some movement with Mr. Salzman, or Mr. Arthur and Salzman.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully we
I
want to
hope
get
that
that.
one works out. Yes, sir.
I'm trying.
Yeah. I know you are.
All right. Good. Anybody have any questions?
No, this pretty well tells the story here, so I like the way you do that.
All right.
All right, not any questions for Sean? Engineering update on the water line? Are we seeking, working, getting?
We're working our way up. We've crossed, we're about to cross Highway 70 and keep going. We're just working through putting the line down as we do the easements, and then we'll have to coordinate with Todd on our Benton spur where that connection is going to happen.
Sure.
And then just keep going. We're just working our way through. We pretty much have it drawn out where we want it to go. Just the easements that people want to change or move directly across their properties. Time a little bit as we go.
Good, very good. So we're notifying and staying ahead of our game and everything. Good.
Yes, sir. It's surveyed all the way through, so we're until we do adjustments and things like that for
Good.
easements.
So all surveying done, basically.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Brett. Any more questions for engineers? Sardis Trail update. In visiting with Sardis yesterday, they have decided to pull out. Very, very nice meeting, and said they're taking groundwater. They've spent a lot of money in the past, just lately, on new water plant stuff and a lot going on, and they were only going to take a small portion instead of a lot. And so, and Roger retired, he's gone, he's done, and if you have any questions, we'll be working with Jerry now, and he is a fine fellow. And so we're still going to be talking, and I told him if there was any change or anything, let us know quickly. And he said the board had decided to put that money in on what they were doing, and they're going to stay with the groundwater all the way through. So I'm behind them 100%. We'll miss Roger. Bobby, I think 2000, you and I and Roger have been working together, is that right? Or you've been working with him longer than that.
Longer than that.
But we've been together since 2000, so I'll miss him. And we stopped by at his retirement today on the service road and asked him if he was sure he was retired, and he said, I don't want to talk water. I said, okay. He is a fine fellow. They don't come no better than Roger Moore. So we wish the best for him. Tull is very actively wanting to be a part of this, and we have meetings with them next week. Water users in Benton is sitting down with them, and we're going to work out a way to do their billing and maintenance, and possibly put on, they'll need 2 service people. Their systems are in very rough shape, if you will, so the first part of it's going to be a pretty good job, but we're going to work with them, and they'll be talking to Benton about running the water. They want to be a part of this project. They want a seat on the board. And Matt, if we don't have any problems with that, I know they've already signed, you know they want to. When engineering clears, then we are ready to sit down and talk to them about contract. Is that right, Counselor? Go ahead.
Yeah, speak on that.
Yes.
My understanding from Matt is that the new improvements, assuming there's the capability to wheel through Benton, and I don't want to get over my skis, but the good news here at the silver lining is that it costs, according to Matt, significantly more to provide Sardis with water than it will with Tull.
Yes.
Now, we're going to have to, as a matter of being forced to amend our contracts to accommodate the lack of interest in investment if we still have that condition, 175 million, maybe 185, don't quote me, or higher. And the board as a whole is going to have to take a vote at some point whether to admit Tull. So the real question here is, alongside the amendment of the contract to remove, and I could give you the paragraph number, 5F if I'm not mistaken, to remove that from everyone's contract. Benton's is numbered differently. That will require your respective governing bodies' approval on the other end, as would a change in the means by which the customer, the entities are billed. Bear with me. The reason I bring that up is Tull, if not Benton, seem to have been kind of a prime mover behind. Let's bring down the monthly fee and let's go to a nearly purely volumetric means of computation. It's a decision for you as a board to make, and I think no one here can say I've spoken to you one word about this before. It's not my place to even have an opinion. But you all do have a decision to make, whether alongside the, and you don't have to make it tonight, but feeling out your respective governing bodies may be something to do for the next 30 days, so I'll get some direction in drafting next month. We know we're going to amend it for the removal of that condition. The real question is, do we want to go ahead with the modification of the measurement of your bill as we were doing for SARS to accommodate them? And again, that's a decision you all need to make, whether to continue to include that modification in your agreements.
Okay. As far as I know, the process right now, water users will meet with them next week to see if we can work out the details on handling their billing and maintenance. And then they'll be meeting with Todd and Sean and Benton to work on that end, if that sounds right. Hopefully in no big hurry, but hopefully by the next meeting, we should know something if we get a chance. Is that too soon? It'd be up to them.
But can I have some follow-up discussion?
Those are two different issues, though.
Yes,
I know, two different issues.
Yes.
But can we have some follow-up discussion about, okay, the agreement they originally signed, or I shouldn't say the agreement, the proposition they originally proposed, was it stated that the only way they would join is if it went to a volumetric, or are they okay with leaving the finished water as the contract as is, billing wise?
You're talking about Tull?
Total. Sorry, just forgive me.
Yeah.
They signed it, but they're happy leaving it as is, simply because 100% of their customers will be receiving
Okay.
Saline Regional
Okay.
water.
That's exactly right.
Plan.
So-
Unlike Sardis, where it was going to be more like 25%.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what but I didn't know if the agreement specified that the only way they would join is if it went to volumetric. Their commitment to us.
They said they would join if we amended the contract in the manner in which Sardis had been.
Proposing. Okay, will they join if they leave the contract the way it is?
That's a question
I think they need
Can
to
I
answer that.
speculate on that?
I know you can speculate, but it's still, I think it needs to
They
be.
will.
Okay, but I think it still needs to be, they need to present and say, we will join either way, because then the
We'll take care of
parties
that.
that are
Yes, sir.
part of the finished group can make a decision if they want a volume, change the volumetric or not, so. I mean, it's
Good
just-
question.
I think Toll needs to make that formal statement, we will, I don't want to speak for them.
Having spoken with them and with their counsel, I'm almost accepting, you raise a great point, I'm just almost accepting it as a given that that answer would be yes.
I understand.
Yep. They are really eager to be a part of this right now. Thank you, Todd. Good question. And we'll have a lot more about Tull by the next meeting. You'll be at that one next week too, so. we're gonna
Does
try
the
to-
board because again, I don't think the board has seen formal updated numbers of what, if we went to a 25-cent number, volumetric cost would be. Have we?
Yeah, the last one was 540 per thousand. Matt has a spreadsheet that he can
I thought we got a number.
Yeah, it's 540 per thousand.
That's what I'm thinking.
But that's new, updated with the.
But when you add toll to it, it might go down a little bit.
Now that you're only having toll, and if you're adding toll, we know those numbers. We add those numbers, and what would that dollar number be?
Right.
Does that include any increase in capital cost? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The increase in cost. I know they're talking, and the main person is not listening to. I swear I think I'm talking loud enough, but I know I'm talking loud, but them are deep in conversation.
What was the question?
Exactly. I know you want to look that way.
That was
Smack 'em.
That's another clear thing.
5 cents per meter per month. We state on the volumetric cap that we're on now. Without SORS, what is your best estimate, standing here putting you on the spot, of the per thousand cost to the?
Including finance cost.
I don't know what the financing costs are.
We'll have some numbers for you.
He's about to give you a pretty good reason why, but, you know, we were talking in the 550 range, you know, with that, at 25.
You're still comfortable, because I saw the proposal to WIFIA still had it at 175 million.
Yeah, I don't think it did.
Yeah, I saw on their construction cost 175 million. It was in that.
So is that the 49% ratio of the total project or
That
something?
was times 1.1 with the, I had 188 as mine. We had very similar figures, very similar ways to get
What
it.
about contingency? There was several line items in
My
there.
contingency is baked in, his was not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where.
In fact, his was 165 plus a 10%, a 20%, 10%?
10%.
Yeah.
But we're still in the same range,
Okay.
but there's so many moving parts of the funding that, you know.
I'm not worried about, and I know because finances, that interest is a big deal
Yeah,
on that amount of dollars.
The biggest.
I know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, we're still in the same range, best as.
based on actual, you still think it's there? Okay.
Based on.
Today, it's gonna go up or down depending on how this thing plays out.
Okay.
Today, it's there.
Okay.
On that note, Perry, would you like to speak to the WIFIA information that you have acquired?
Sure. Well, this is something that Representative Childers was good enough to join us in the meeting
Yes.
we were at with EPA. And the thing that WIFIA and what I think Representative is going to be speaking about have in common is that they implicate BABA, Buy America, Build America, Build America, Buy America. In any event, there's a trade-off there, and if there's sufficient savings and timing our withdrawals from WIFIA, we may be able to compensate for maybe a subpart of the project that federal funds that implicate BABA might be used towards that involve less expensive American components. All right, that's it. The three main sources that we're considering are ANRC, with whom we had a meeting, WIFIA, and private market, and that's why Bob is here and he has a presentation of his own. The things to look out for, because the true interest rate, the NIT, net interest rate, true interest rate, TIC, TIR, they're close. They're not exact, but they're close. One difference is that federal WIFIA requires compliance with BABA. That's a neg on it in terms of our ultimate costs, but there's place for it. There's a second, the state funds are good on both fronts in that they don't themselves require compliance with BABA, and that they'll be dispersed and interest will start accruing as those funds are dispersed. So we're not paying, as you were talking about, more than we would otherwise need to if we had to start paying interest on all or even half of our money up front. The third source, of course, is the private markets. Arguably, they're the most flexible in terms of how we could structure the deal, but pay-as-you-go has not yet been floated as an option or indicated it was available. I'll let Bob speak to that. One interesting request that primarily Matt has made, along with Bob over at the ANRC, is would they, instead of using their funds, use their credit wrap facility to assist us in getting a cheaper rate from one of the other sources. It's also an option. So, in summary, WIFIA, that we've had an ongoing dialogue. We've submitted our letter of interest. It doesn't commit us to applying, but only a select group of projects are invited to apply. When you do apply, two things are true. One, you'll know what you're applying for, and they will have already formed an opinion of you, hence prompting them to invite you. Two, there will be a $100,000 application fee for WIFIA funds. And go further with how we might best maximize it, but consider the idea of breaking the project down into chunks that the EPA will recognize, will accept as a valid project standing on its own, say, the pipes from the treatment plant to the end users, where there's not terribly much technology being used, more like the steel, which would come from America anyway, in most cases, and taking that portion as the portion that we might apply WIFIA funds to, or apply a grant to, and it might be even more in keeping with our timeline to accept a grant at that time. So there's a lot of options out there. I'm only looking really closely at WIFIA myself and communicating with them. I just responded to an inquiry they had just today. I know that I will tell you that Mayor Kemp had asked last time, would it be, and I said 4 to 6 hours. I can tell you I've billed twice that, and I can tell you I've spent twice that dealing with this application process. I can promise you that.
You said that you submitted it. Once you submitted it, you said that then they invite you to submit it, apply.
This is a LOI,
Okay.
letter of interest.
Do you have a time frame on that, or is it?
Yes. They said in a best case scenario, they can either send us an application to, an invitation to apply, my apologies, an invitation to apply within 4 to 6 weeks. It's been 3 weeks since I've submitted it. In a best case scenario, we'll know in 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Counselor, you said there's a $100,000 application fee. Do we need to have a discussion about where that comes from, or pre-approve?
I don't know what the limitations are on your use of ARPA funds, not at least off the top of my head. It may bear looking at. I hope we have $100,000 in our meter deposit account if that's not a possible use of it. If that's a direction that the board wants to go. But again, you can not only shape it on the front end where you're deciding how much to take and when, but also on the back end where they're extraordinarily flexible with you in terms of, well, you don't pay principal for 2 years, then you just pay interest, and then year 5 you can bring in principal, and you can really play with it to the point where it fits whatever we're trying to do. And for that last piece of the puzzle, I think WIFIA sounds like a good idea. If they'll take the pipes from the treatment plant to the constituent entities as a separate project it's willing to look at. And you only get 49% of that. But it's good for that it's that cushion at the end that we may need. And again, Bob will speak to that.
It's still a big piece of the puzzle. Yes.
That cushion at the end was a prime topic of what Matt raised with ANRC 2 weeks ago. And they're looking into whether or not they can provide the bondholders Bob's people, a little bit of comfort, a little cushion, a little spring at the very end in the event that the construction is not complete and revenues are not being generated 36 months after first draw.
Would you mind staying there to your own stuff?
One by one.
Just, the RFQ for the
Oh,
municipal advisory.
the deadline is next week, and we haven't gotten any applications.
That's what I was looking for. Deadline next week. Good enough. All right, anything else in old business? Not in the new business. Report on the meeting with ANRC. You'll be next. Matt? I'd like for Paul, if you would come on, talk to, yes, Shannon?
Yeah, we're gonna cut.
Representative Childress, Shannon, please come up, introduce her. They haven't met her, they need to know her.
Well, with me is Shannon Smith. Not only does she, one of my partners at the house, but she lives in Saline County. She has her whole life, so this water project is important to her also. With me is Jimmy Harris from Senator Bozeman's office. So,
Yes, sir.
just to tell you all this, there's a lot of, y'all are doing your job and you're working on it, but there's a lot of work being done on our side too. Shannon's worked a lot, Jimmy's worked a lot,
Yes, sir.
the judge has worked a lot. Me and the judge were out in front of a restaurant today talking about it, and Jason comes over and talks to us, not about the project, but we visited a little bit, so it's, there's a lot of people working for this project in y'all's favor. And Shannon's done a lot of work, and Jimmy's gonna be he's gonna be the expert. So we passed out kind of a handout on kind of the bulletins that we talked about. We're not necessarily gonna cover all of it, but I'm gonna hand it to Jimmy, because Jimmy's not seen it. He skimmed it, but I'm gonna just kind of pretty much turn it over to Jimmy and let him kind of cover some of the pieces, and then me and Shannon will fill in on things that we've done, if that's fine with Jimmy. He deals with this every day, so I think it's very important that he's here from Little Rock on a Thursday evening to support this project and to help us what we need to do. So we appreciate you coming here and working with us.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Representative Childress. Good evening, Council. My name is Jimmy Harris. I work in Little Rock for Senator Bozeman. I've been with him for 12 years next month. My title is Special Advisor for External Affairs. Part of that is being the Senator's Grants Coordinator. So I advise the Senator on our grant advocacy efforts, and that includes our appropriations process, or earmarks, as they're commonly known. So Representative Childress and Shannon reached out recently, and we met, I want to say, about a week ago, and discussed the potential for getting congressionally directed spending for this regionalization project. So I'll just kind of go over that process, but there hasn't been a request made to our office yet. This is not guaranteed. It will not be able to cover the whole cost of the project. I will say that we like the concept of regionalizing. We want to help Saline County however we can, and we encourage you to submit a request. So how that works is we haven't launched our application period yet. That will start sometime next month, with the deadline of probably mid-April. So you will submit us just kind of a budget, how much you're asking for, the justification, who's involved. It's more of a memo than your typical federal grant application. What happens is, if you're successful, that red tape and those grant agreements actually come on the back end. But let me go back to the application process. So you'll submit that to us. Then we work with the Appropriations Committee, and for water projects with the EPA, to vet these things. You won't hear anything about it until the summer, and that's when we find out what we actually got into the appropriations bills. So we get more demand than we have, way more demand than we have resources, particularly in the water infrastructure bucket. The past few cycles, this process has only existed for a few years now. We usually get about 40 million total for the whole state. This is off my head, but I think that the highest grant we got was about 13 million. That's off my head, so I didn't do a ton of research. I found out about this meeting today. So, again, we can't cover the whole cost of the project. We can maybe serve as a catalyst. It's also designed to be one-time funding. So if you ask us for 15, you'll have to show that it's not good money after bad, that you will be able to execute the project afterwards. I encourage support letters and all that stuff. And it is a federal grant, so there's a lot of paperwork involved in reporting and so on and so forth. There's a whole, you got to do the environmental and all of that stuff that goes into water projects. If it is successful, we'll find out in the summer that it's in this bill. Then it's got to pass into law. These projects are within the bigger government funding bills. So when there's a shutdown or a continuing resolution or a simple extension, those aren't included, right? Did that make sense? So we have to pass new funding bills that include these. So it's subject to all the fighting that goes on in DC. So our fiscal year, in a perfect world, we get these passed by the end of September. This most previous cycle, we had to do CRs into February. So there's a lot of timing strategy that has to be considered. And then after it passes into law, it takes probably about another month for the EPA to reach out, and then there's your grant agreement process, which is going to add another several months. And you can't use it for reimbursement. So it's got to be new construction or new studies, whatever it is that y'all ask for.
Designated, yes.
Mm-hmm. Correct. So that said, we encourage you to apply. It's no guarantee, but I'm working with Representative Childress and Shannon and Judge Bromley and whoever else is involved to make sure that y'all put your best foot forward.
We waited a long time. Like all y'all, Judge Bromley. Man, oh man, it's exciting.
Some of the other things that we learned that it cannot be used for interest, and they'll go over all the rules later, if the grant is applied for. And we kind of talked about, he educated me and Shannon writes grants for the state. So they kind of, not a grant writer, but she helps find grants for the state. So they speak the same language, but it's, he talked to us about, he asked for different segments. Maybe ask for 5 million, 10 million, 13 million, and just find what you're gonna do with each segment in case you don't get the top, you get one of the smaller tiers, you have it explained and some things like that. So, Shannon can talk if she wants to about what she's done research on her end, trying to help and find stuff, and I don't know if you've had very much luck with Arkansas grants or anything.
Well, natural resources is gonna be the best.
Let me jump in.
Who you're working with.
I forgot to mention that there is a 20% match on this funding. Not to scare you off, but it is a grant though, so it's still worth pursuing. I don't think you're going to find a lot of that water infrastructure.
Can already funds being spent as a result of ARPA funds be contributed to that 20%?
They asked that. I haven't gotten that confirmed yet.
And I will say, Senator Bozeman fights really hard for his Arkansas projects, and he's very powerful in DC. He's a good one to have on our side. So I will say that. And Shannon has done some research, and we talked to Jimmy about it, about the Build America, Buy America. Mm-hmm. And Shannon, you want to talk about, Shannon did the research, so I'll let her have the credit, but she kind of did some research on a Texas water project in 2023, and she can kind of tell you what the rule on that is.
Well, this is, information that Natural Resources Debbie had said, find out if BABA applies to this funding.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and what I was sent from Senator Bozeman's office, I'll just read it. It says BABA requirements apply to an entire infrastructure project, even if the project is funded by a combination of federal and non-federal funds under one or more awards. So, I mean, I guess that's not been necessarily confirmed, but that is and
That's kind of the
research.
takeaway from the Texas water project. And I know Matt was concerned about that when we were talking about the increased cost and the increased timeline, but we just want to clarify that to make sure that y'all are aware of that
Good.
part of it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
But real quick on that one. When you say it applies to the whole project, if the project is, and I'm gonna throw out the scenario, don't everybody throw darts at me. If the project is build the raw water line to Benton Utilities, and then the separate project is build the water treatment plant, can it be separated that way?
So as this reads, it sounds like that, but we have time to get these questions answered.
So, because in the way I heard that, it's the whole project.
Yeah, no, so
That's
we
what it
got
says.
this from the Senator's DC office.
Yeah.
And that was kind of an overview. They did a project in Texas with the Texas Water Development Board, and this is just kind of some of the key takeaways that they learned during their process that they have shared with other states
Okay.
that are looking. And that was
Gotcha.
one of the key components was that BABA does apply to the entire infrastructure project if there's any federal funds used. So
So we'll confirm that.
Okay.
I would say it's still worth trying to get. And
I
you always
yeah,
have-
I know. I'm just,
There's
in my
your
brain, I'm
key,
trying to think of, you know, that's why
It's a
you know, I'm always,
Yeah.
my brain's.
Jason?
My brain's cooking too. So you said that, for Arkansas, 40 million is maximum that Arkansas is gonna be getting,
That's
is it
generally what we've gotten.
generally? And for us to ask for a piece of that, what's the sweet spot? I heard 5 million, 10 million, 15 million, what's this for one entity?
So I mentioned, I think the highest I can remember is about 13
13.
and a half or so. My
Is that-
suggestion is to ask for what you want, but then to budget it out well enough, or if we can get you a smaller amount, we can still do that.
So if we
If you
ask,
just say it's 20 million or nothing, then that hurts your chances.
Yeah.
so what
A
is
lot of it depends on the
The
demand.
key, I think he said is, and one of y'all said it, I forget, is have pieces. Hey, we would love 20 million, but here's this piece.
here's a 5 million piece, here's another 5 million piece, and that way they can award it on a well-defined piece of the entire ask.
But the key,
Exactly.
even though they're just doing a piece for the federal grant, the whole project will still be based on what?
Based on the 23
Yes.
one they did, and like I said,
Yes.
and Jimmy told us on the front end, he said, we need to clarify that
Yeah.
and get a complete rule, and Shannon just went out and reached out and done research on it, and that's what she found to give you more information, but it will be firmed up, it'll be probably in your requirements,
Okay.
your checklist that you have to do it, or you don't have to do it, so you'll know for sure.
Well, there's some great notes here. So this request will be due in late March into April this year, we're talking about,
It will be
okay?
due mid-April. We haven't launched this yet, but it will open in mid-March.
Will the NEPA process also be required for the entire project?
All of that applies.
Okay.
Correct.
So who does this?
Somebody will hit grant writer.
But it's in memo form. When you say memo form, it's a single.
And Perry kind of did that for y'all when we were needing some stuff in the beginning, and Perry kind of did that, and I mean, Perry probably has the format, and Jimmy said a memo form. I just think they want to know the scope and kind of how many residents it's gonna affect, and, you know, some things like that. I mean, Perry probably already has that data.
What we
So step one, that's all we gotta do is turn a memo describing the project and how much and get that in.
What we have is an online form, and it's going to say, I'm requesting this much money. Here's the point of contact, here's who it would go to, and then just a justification with, what you would do with the money. My suggestion, having gone through it, is the best practice is to have some sort of memo that we could print out, present to the senator, that has, I don't know, schematics or like just budgets on there, those sort of things.
you don't upload any files on this online form, it's just,
We didn't last year,
okay. But you can just have this extra.
but then you could email it to me and I'll get it to the correct people.
Sounds good to me.
I like it.
I mean, you got nothing to lose, really.
Yeah, again,
Yeah.
I'm gonna reinforce, don't put all your eggs in this basket.
Yes, sir.
There's decision makers outside of Senator Bozeman, obviously we have a big influence on it. It's also subject to the politics of passing a law. And the timing of it would be at best, maybe mid-2027 before funds are dispersed, and I could see it being much further out than that.
We're not gonna be in construction until
No,
after that,
that's
so.
good. Further out is better for us.
Yeah, that's great.
Much better.
Yeah, it's an interesting process, different than most grants. but-
Now, is this an annual thing that can we apply for this annually, or is this just one time?
I heard him say this, think of this as a one-time,
I heard him say you get 40 million a year.
yeah, but.
It's designed to be one-time funding.
From the same entity, so we couldn't apply for it for this year and then apply for it again for next year and apply for it again?
We could, we won't tell you no, but it's frowned upon.
Shotgun approach, but
Yeah.
yeah. But that's what I asked. What is the,
That's not even a Senator Bozeman thing, that's an appropriation, Senate appropriations.
Yes.
yeah. And that's where I want to hear how to best approach this, you know?
Well, we don't want to be in a situation where you say the project's going to fail unless you get us more money
Right.
the next year.
We understand. Yeah. Any more questions? Tell Senator Bozeman, for me personally, I had a personal visit with y'all's office to get some stuff done for a relative. It was stagnant. And the gentleman in your office, I'll get his name, I'd like to meet him, made it move.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
No, thanks for sharing, and thanks for letting me explain to y'all.
Well, Jimmy's a good partner, and me and Shannon appreciate him coming down and helping us, and he did it on his own. I think the judge probably sweet-talked him into coming, but I mentioned to him, but I didn't mention it to him. But anyway, I appreciate him coming and being here for us, because it means a lot.
Sure.
But they're busy all over the state, and I appreciate him doing it.
Sure.
And likewise, these are good partners.
We really do appreciate the opportunity to go for this. Thank you for bringing it to us.
Yeah, it's open line of communication. We're in an office over by the Capitol, not hard to find.
And Dickie's got Shannon's number.
Yes.
Mary does, so she's a good resource, and she works hard, and
Yes,
she'll help in any way that she can
I
also.
like those emails.
Good.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
All right.
Anybody else?
For us, I saw you standing up.
Matt?
I have a question about that, but we've been around
Sure.
for a long time, but there's nothing from the governor's office, nobody's talked to, even the ARC is the only route that the state stands for.
So, so far.
I'm not saying that no, the governor, not, you know, an option.
We're just now starting budget meetings. I had one this morning with her, so we're just now starting budget meetings, kind of seeing where we're gonna put our money, what our focuses are. So, but I will definitely bring it up, you know, in our best interest to see what we can do on the state level, if there's any way to appropriate money, so.
That's all we can do is ask y'all.
Yep. Answer is no if you don't ask.
Hey,
Right.
we would not be here today for a lot of people, but mainly our representatives and senators. They made this thing move when it stalled out 10 years ago, 8 years ago. Thank you. I know what it takes.
Well, thank y'all, and we're gonna get out of here.
All right, good deal.
See y'all, thank you.
Appreciate
Thank y'all.
this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you, Mr. Jimmy. Yes, sir. Matt, if you would, touch on that A&RC meeting, just real briefly what they talked about, what we did, a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Brett, anybody else? Perry, speak up.
Yes, Perry covered most of it.
Yes. I would say that I've been to all the A&RC meetings for several years. That's the best one I've sat down to because I heard a lot of yes.
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 Yes. Go ahead.
So I spoke to you guys a month or two ago about our concerns about them wanting to claw back that money, and we had a real productive meeting with them several months ago. So we just called a meeting back together with myself and Dickie and Perry and Brett and Bob.
Yes.
And David came with Cruz and Associates because they've been working really hard, and he's about to show you what he's got to show you. So they made the presentation to them, explained to them what the private bond market looks like. And we talked through all that, and then this idea about wrapping the state's credit around a private bond financing package was a possibility. And then that changes the game from and I'm sure Bob will tell you, it changes the game from a credit standpoint. So it changes the game from an interest rate standpoint, and it changes the game. I mean, it's a big, big deal. And so, but the state's never done it. And so we think they have the ability to do it from a, from credit wrap, credit enhancement standpoint, but they don't know how to do it. They've never done it. And we're trying to get to the bottom of that right now. So we had lots of discussion about that. Talked about with you quite a bit, and Perry covered that mostly. Talked about VABA quite a bit. That's a dirty word, by the way. Jason knows, I'm sure. So talked about all that. And in summary, I think it was a long meeting. We were there for a long time, and like you said, it's very positive. And we've got a private bond market option now, which we've never had before. And Chris Colclaser was just almost like relieved. He was like, well, this just changes everything, because that's what they've been wanting us to do, was to bring them some money to go with their SRF money. Yep. So they put these stipulations on us, these conditions on us, that we had to have a bond rating, we had to have the backing of each individual member, which is not possible legally. And these were things we couldn't overcome, and we've been tripping over all this time. And, we said, well, are these things still going to be the case if we come alongside you with some private bond market money? And he's like, yes, it'll change. That changes our position on that, because if we're not loaning you such a large amount of money, if we're loaning you $125 million or $150 million by ourselves, and you don't have a bond rating, that introduces a lot of risk to their program. And so if we have parallel money to come in there to go with their money to make ends meet, stack the money up, and they're just a shorter stack, that concern goes away. And so that requirement of having a bond rating, he didn't say it went away, but he insinuated that it would go away, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or he might have said it would go away. But you could tell by his mannerisms that that's a different deal. That's a different ask from us. And so, they really want to use the GeoBond money program money as much as they can. And I think that's good for us as well, because that's state money. It has much more lenient terms of payment. We can ask to defer payments for some period of time after closing, but it comes in smaller chunks, and so we can't chunk together. They can only put out roughly $30 million a year in general obligation bond money. That's for the whole state, so they're not going to give us $30 million every year. And so that's a shorter stack. We get that $7.7 million approval, in December, something like that. So they're going to be more in those size chunks, and so I think the idea coming out of that is, they have some homework to do to get back to the group. And I just sent her an email this morning and said, hey, it's been a couple weeks. You got anything, found anything? So they were going to check on the credit wrap, and they were going to check on, we got to figure out what we're going to do with that bond, the GeoBond loan that we were approved. It's kind of lingering, which is fine. But we talked about different options of using that. We could take that money now and continue to use it as seed money. We could ask for deferred loan payments on that bond money at that time. Or we talked about the option of using that money to back into Bob's deal, and he'll tell you about that in a minute. There's some credit risk for the private investors in our project, because we need to bring, we're a startup, and we need to bring that revenue after 3 years. There's some there's some interest that'll build up over that 3-year period, and if our project's not funding the project after that 3-year period, what do we do then? There's that risk, that construction risk, and we ask them about, well, would you come in and provide that leverage to our investors, that you would take that capitalized interest, debt after 3 years? Don't have a good answer on that. So there's lots of things thrown around. They still owe us a lot of feedback. Hadn't gotten that yet. That was 2 weeks ago, but it was a really, really good meeting.
That's normal.
Need to try to keep the momentum going with them.
Yeah.
On this.
Yep, it's very
Any
good.
questions?
Very good.
A lot of what we talked about.
I'll
you're
get
about
their
to hear.
attention, I'll say that may. Any more questions?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Do we need to authorize Perry to go with Bolton's office when that time period comes to apply for that grant?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, the time's now, it's due.
Yeah.
You can take a lot of that with you, language.
I'll take what was sent Representative Childress and what was in the Lithia. And you heard, Senator, that letters of support from elected officials are smiled upon. We have 3 or 4 that I know with a minor amount of effort, I know somebody that might be able to collect those.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
And we can have it ready to go by the time their application window opens. And that, again, just reinforces just my gut feeling that breaking into 3 projects where 2 of them are already done, and that final 3rd one is what brings water to the constituents, that may be the only way to minimize the impact, if it's possible, of
That's the best place to put it, yeah. It's gonna be hard to disconnect the intake from the raw water lines and they'll sniff all that out. But the finished water may be a good place to sniff it out. Where we don't want to use BABA at all, for sure, is the water treatment plant. Because BABA will get you on equipment, and that's where it really gets you. Pipe, not so bad. But equipment, that's where it really hurts you. So we need to keep it out of that water treatment plant and the intake. Those 2 contracts, we need to keep it out of those. Electrical, that's not.
Keep that on our mind. Be sure we do that.
What is the requirement?
Build America, buy America. So just what you think. Everything.
It's got to be it's a percentage of the project. What percentage of the project? It has to be, it's not 100%.
I can answer that. It's 100% of steel and 65% of everything that's not steel.
Okay. All the equipment, though, has got to pass BABA requirements, and so I'm talking about a 40% adder on all the electrical equipment, because a lot of that stuff comes from overseas. So they got to bring it overseas, and to get around this, they bring it overseas, they ship it to their warehouse in Milwaukee, and then they put it all together. There's ways around it, but all that costs money. We've seen it be about 40% adder to equipment cost.
Yeah.
That's not to the whole job, of course, so concrete, no. Things like that, not so bad, but any kind of equipment that could possibly be parts.
When you say steel, what do you designate? Anything that is made of steel?
The steel that goes in, yes, and the steel that goes into, whether it's 100% of the finished product, or if it's a major component.
Here, I'm gonna ask a question. The motor control center,
Yes,
it's made of steel and copper. Is that considered steel?
Yes.
Or is it rebar? Or are we talking about frame steel? Like structural steel?
Well, we could easily get a BABA compliance on something like that. So it's everything. You gotta have BABA compliance on everything, but it's easy to get that on rebar.
65%.
I agree.
Todd, my educated guess, based on what I know of BABA, is that 65% of that component that you're talking about, whether it's treatment plant or otherwise, has to be, when averaged with everything else that's not steel, manufactured in the United States.
Hey, Matt, are you working on any similar project that has BABA requirements?
Oh, yes.
Do you?
Yes. And so we had a project with some big pumps in in Little Rock that, it was a 40% adder. And Little Rock paid it, because they wanted that pump.
I had to wait a year for a VFD to come in.
That's the other
After the well was
That's
already
the other
built.
thing,
Still
that's the
waiting.
other thing.
You get stuck in customs.
It terribly, it lengthens the lead time on all the equipment.
Crazy.
But it's getting better. AIS, American Iron Steel, we kind of over the hurdle, everybody's used to that now.
But as far as what Bobby was saying, as far as authorizing Larry to move forward with a memo and for some piece of the project that worked out with you, Matt, I say go forward with that.
And draft a letter of intent.
Yeah. Well, you want to make the motion?
Bob, you might get that motion.
Yes.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passed. Thank you, Bob. You did good.
I got trouble once tonight.
He's fixing to go to timeout. You're gonna have to take over.
I got it.
Oh, I know you do.
The only thing I would add to what Mr. Dunn just said was, I heard the number 50 to 60 million at least twice, maybe 3 times during that meeting. They have indicated their comfort level at ANRC, where they might be willing to go. So you've got 3 components you might consider from ANRC if they're willing to do it. The credit wrap, the last, after the 36 months, that last mile of potential, make sure we have the money in the bank to pay Bob's people. And the third one being the $60 million, of which that 7.7 presumably would be a piece. But those are the 3 things that the ANRC said we may be able to help you with.
And we've gotten a BABA, we're not a BABA requirement on the SRA program. Not BABA requirement.
Good.
Right.
Which is important. We got exempted from that.
That's great. Any more
Real
questions?
quick, though.
Yeah.
We're doing, and again, I know we already made the motion, we're doing the letter of intent on a portion of it, but if the whole project gets pulled in, it doesn't matter. It becomes all bad. That was the point during that, trying to separate portions of the project.
What I heard was everything that was federally funded.
No, he said
That's
everything,
not-
anything it touches.
That's the way it works. If you get, so
If you get federal funds on any point, that's why
the
I
entire
project
project is subject to BABA.
the whole project. So if we get these funds,
Well, then it kind of sounds,
if we get $1 million or $500,000,
the entire project's back.
the whole entire project's bad.
And Todd, that's why, I think you did read it because you had comments on it, but the WIFIA application, there are 3 interrelated but distinct projects that are being.
I know, but the question is, within that agreement, are we going to separate the projects? Is it going,
Within the Midwest?
can I?
Yeah, can we
We asked
separate?
that.
This is
That's
an
what I
email.
came up.
WIFIA is going to give us an advance read on that before we ever get to Senator Bozeman's office.
Okay.
So we can still proceed with the letter of intent and wait till the next meeting.
Yeah.
But I'm not sitting in this chair.
I know. I don't know if we want to present that necessarily because I don't have a problem writing it and getting it ready, but
Are we talking about the request to Bozeman's office now?
yes.
Yeah. We can draft something and.
Yeah, just we draft it on this time. Okay, we're just going to draft it?
And set on it till next meeting.
Okay.
I'll circulate it with your meeting agenda before the next meeting. So
Now, the next meeting's in March.
Yes.
Let's make sure we understand where the deadline is.
Mid-April. Mid-April.
So it says
He
here.
said March to April, so I didn't hear a date. But
I heard end of March,
He said
end of April.
mid-April.
It'll open mid-March and.
Submit by mid-April.
there's a window that
Let's
closes.
do late
March
March
into
into
April.
April. Yeah. So it should be good.
I just, again, you don't want to go out there and try to
That's good stuff.
have a bunch of small pieces and they give us $250,000.
And then that keeps, they're still into the plant with BABA requirements.
You wouldn't accept that then? I mean,
Yeah.
you're not obligated to accept, it's just a request, right?
Any more questions? And that's a good point, Tom. Thank you. Good motion. Matt, if you will, would you speak to our permit that we just, you or Brett, either one, on our,
Our high dollar water withdrawal?
At high dollar.
We didn't get any money, any use out of that this year, did we?
No, we
didn't. One
didn't.
drop of water.
They
Our
do.
our annual NRC water withdrawal permit fee came up this month. It's $100.
Due May the 1st, by May the 1st, I believe.
We have to report how much water we withdrew this year.
Brett, we have a number?
None.
Do we include evaporation?
Do we have a number?
0.00.
No evaporation.
Well, you're talking about a bargain. Oh, and I have to think back to that, almost 20,000 per MGD, just up the road.
Yep. Same water.
Same water, same water. Sampled it and found that out. Thank you, ma'am.
That was a good comparison.
Oh. All right. Counselor, could we, 1 second here, I got my notes run together. On the Purcell property, could we visit on that a little bit, tell them where we're at? You know, the last thing we had talked about was trying to do it, not cause us least amount of trouble we did, and so kind of let us know where that's at, if you will. Hope we're working with them.
As you all know, we paid just north of $39,000 for 0.5 of an acre plus specials on the Kruk property. The Kruk plus the Purcell parcels are what we need to get from Congo Road to our 40 square that is our treatment plant property. In this case, that 1.24 acres is the question. It itself is not bounded, it doesn't have road access, but the parcel writ large does. We're taking a piece of the parcel that's the furthest away from Congo Road access, so it could be argued it's a different value, and it is $1.03 per square foot versus $1.72 per square foot for the Kruk property, Purcell property versus the Kruk property. So at that amount, it would have come out to about $57,000, $58,000. You may remember their attorney fired off an email demanding $300,000. We have gotten, and our appraisal showed it to be worth approximately $57,000. I have gotten him to a point where I told him, if that's the offer on the table, I will recommend it to the board. He claims that there's approximately $22,000 worth of specials involved. I told him to show it, prove it to me, but with our normal 5% ability to negotiate, that doesn't quite cover the whole amount, and we're still going to need about $18,000 or $19,000 worth of those kinds of documented specials. But I'm prepared to recommend to the board that if we have an appraisal that says 57 plus specials, and he's come down from 300 to 79 for that 1.24 acres to get us onto our property, I'll do whatever you guys tell me, but I do feel that we've reached a number that both sides might reluctantly live with.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion to, I'd like to hear what you think, and I need a motion and second to ask him and Sean to move on this property for $79,000.
I'll make that motion.
Look at me. I remember his argument here, because it went up and down, so I think it's still a good deal.
Yeah.
Definitely still a good deal, so I'll second that.
Thank you. Any more questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. I agree. Thank you, Perry. Thank you, Sean. One thing I want to do now, Rhonda touched on it a while ago, and Todd and I had to sign checks, and so Rhonda mentioned it, and then we didn't discuss anything, but she mentioned it and then brought it up today about having a third check signer. So I want to wait and bring that up tonight. I think it'd be a good thing if either one of us are out, and right now with my lifestyle, it is very important. I'm sorry to leave this middle of this meeting anytime, but and what about the vice president being that check signer? I'm just talking out loud. And that would be Mayor Treat. And
Not me.
I don't know. We probably have to have some kind of session to get him involved.
Here, since it was a recommendation from Rhonda also, I'll make a motion
Yes.
that basically the check signers for Saline Regional will be the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer.
Oh, that's good. That's what it comes down
Just
to.
Yeah,
those
make that
personnel within
make that standard, yeah.
within that organization, whoever they are.
I will second that. That's a good policy.
You okay with that, Bob? On that motion? Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I agree. Now, I need to shift gears on you here just a second. I need a very short executive session.
We don't need to let the.
Oh, no. That was dumb. Thank you. I had this on my mind. I apologize for that. You're the star of the show, and we're going to jump over you. Yeah, good. Thank you.
David, I'm taking my checkbook. I was going to.
No.
I will make this brief because I know it's late for y'all. I'm Bob Wright, Senior Managing Director.
We got time for you, my friend.
And ask questions as we go through this, but there's a lot of questions that actually came up during y'all's meeting about, the rates and all that. I've been at Cruise 38 years, and I've worked with just about every system down here. My first email on this project was actually more than 10 years ago, so I've obviously known about it. Matt and I work on, in Chris Engineers, we work on a lot of projects, and he was asking me back in September, it's like, about the Saline? I went, yeah, I know the state's going to handle that and such. He's like, we're moving along, but the state's kind of pulling back on their funding, and there's some steps we can't quite get to. Do you think you can do something? Like, yeah, there's a market for this. We can absolutely bring money in. Do the economics of it make sense? Don't know, but let's look at it. So, unfortunately for Perry snuck out, but Dickie and Perry, we've been in multiple meetings and phone calls as we were just kind of ramping up to say, all right, we're going to take this out and see what kind of market is out there, what we can bring to you. That if Matt is done with all the engineering in the summer and is ready to bid the project out, if the funding's not there, what are you going to do? The Bozeman rep in here talking about the grant monies were like, to even make that application and potentially get the grant, you have to prove out that that project's going to be successful. If you don't have the funding in place, it's not going to be successful. So
Did that about 3 times.
yeah, so I wanted to at least, and I told Matt, I'll get with y'all and show you we've got funding in place, so you can show that it's going to work. I'll show you what that wholesale rate's going to be and some of the differences and go from there. This is the presentation we showed to ANRC. Dickie and Perry sat through. I won't talk as long as we did there. I'll go through it, but
You did a good job.
this is David Downs. This is my head analyst, and he's working with me on this project. This is what we went through with the state, and really just, and also with some of the particular investors that we've been showing, just to kind of show the impact. All the various entities that are part or potentially part of this, obviously hearing tonight, Sardis, take that off the mix.
Yes.
We're actually we're going to be selling bonds for Sardis probably in 2 weeks on big additional water wells and water tanks, and work with Matt. So that might be part of that. So some of the numbers are going to change obviously a little bit, but the second slide we've been going off of on the contracts, a minimum purchase amount. These are take or pay contracts, so a minimum purchase amount right now of $2.64 billion per year. Carve out Sardis, which we had listed in there at 9 million gallons or 108 per year, so we got to carve that out of the mix. But all the numbers that we've been looking at are 2.6. We don't even know if carving Sardis out, if that lowers the cost estimate. There's, as y'all know, tons of moving parts to this. But this is kind of how the math works out right now. We showed, because I actually had a conversation with the county judge, and he was asking about the ARPA funds and all that, and we showed to the state, here's what y'all have done so far, what you've spent to acquire the treatment plant site, the storage reservoir intake, so that's some of the ARPA fund use and all that. The next slide, and this is, we didn't actually have this for the state. We added this in, Matt sent this to me, and it almost matches up with what, not even here, the use of the ARPA funds almost to the date, but and I don't have, when it says reimbursement from county, we don't have the exact expenditures of what those ARPA funds are, but when it started out with 10 million, and I think she was saying there's 3.2 million still available in the bottom line, and what the last accounting we had was 3.4. But that's kind of the use. We're showing the state, we're showing the investors that right now that green line going across shows 550. The horizontal, or the slanted line is what the CAW wholesale rate is, what they've already published, and what they project out as far as what their wholesale rate. So you can see out there probably in 37, 38, in that time frame is about where that wholesale cost crosses over. So we're going to be higher on wholesale rate right now than what CAW would be. Eventually, with their additional increase on their rates, eventually you're going to be right there in step with them. This is, and again, these are changing numbers, but you can see construction cost, and this is from Matt. Construction cost of $164 million. I mean, we broke this out so we can kind of see the components. Engineering design is 7.3, easements, land acquisition, construction, and even Perry mentioned it. He's got a 10% contingency in there, 16.4. So we've got a bogey of $200 million that we're shooting for to have to fund, and that's what we've been going out to these various accounts out there, showing them we need 200 million. There's little hair on it, and explaining that away. So the next one is the projected construction timeline. This shows about 27, 28 months from the start to where all of the project is finished. And as we've discussed, and they realize that if they can bring that in that time frame, there's some great savings money-wise on the project itself with how we've had to kind of structure and build it. But we are looking at this and again, whether it's summer or fall, whenever he is ready to bid it, that he would bid the intake, the pipeline, the reservoir, and the treatment plant all at once. So we have a hard number on the bids, and let's just say it's Crossland Heavy that gets the whole project. And they come in at that $200 million. So we have a hard set number bogey in our numbers that we're shooting for. There'll be liquidated damages for any delays over and above the 27 months. So we kind of build in, some contingencies there that potentially could help save some money. But we need to know what that number is and shoot for it from day one instead of bidding something out. We've got to put the whole financing package together at once. So that's the timeline that we're working on. What we went to the state and set the meeting up is two things, and I've had conversations with Debbie Dixon over there and Chris Colclasure. Matt touched on it. You'll see in the numbers when we get to it. There's no revenue coming in until you sell water. Until that tap is turned on, there's no revenue. And it's been a lot of fun. I go way back with Perry, and watching him, he's playing banker as well. He's crunching numbers and all that. And we even talked before the meeting about,
how do we, maybe phase this out or, so we're kind of digging into it. But right now, we're saying that we loan you $200 million. There is no revenue, but the interest starts accruing. So we have to put 36 months worth of interest into the financing itself. It's not an efficient use of money, but it's common in the marketplace. It's the only way to bridge that gap from a global standpoint. The investors expect interest to come in on the $200 million. You don't have the revenue to pay that. We put the interest into the fund that you're going to pay for the next 3 years. But what we identified with the investors is, what if we get out to that 36 months and that interest account that we've set up is depleted and the project is not done, the revenues are still not flowing. So let's say it goes another 12 months, out to 48 months. We've asked the state, can you come in at the beginning and promise that from that 36 to 48 month or something, you'll have a funding mechanism there in case it happens, in case the construction goes long, that we don't have to come in and restructure the bonds, refinance, and that's highly inefficient use of your money. So ask them to put that little piece of the puzzle out there beyond that 36 months. So they're looking at that. We haven't heard back from them on how they potentially do it. They understand that issue and are looking at it. Debbie and Chris both are like, well, we might can do this. I mean, the wheels are spinning at the state. So that was the good news there. The credit enhancement, and Matt and Perry both touched on it. WIFIA does credit enhancement. Bond insurance, which all of y'all that have issued debt, it's a AA rated credit wrap around a bond issue. It brings your interest rates down considerably. We've looked into that. The state actually does have the ability, instead of to loan you the money, they have the ability to put their credit around the financing itself and brings the borrowing costs down significantly. They've never done it. Debbie has been out, and she actually emailed while I was driving down, and I think we all got it probably at about 4:30. She has not yet found a state that has done this. We've been told that there have been states, so we're going to start doing our own digging on that end to try to find some examples as to do that. We don't know mechanically how it would work. We just know from a credit standpoint the impact it has on the financing itself. But the minutia of how to plug that in, we don't know. But we've asked them to look into it, and we've asked them to do that for y'all. And they're open for it. And it potentially could be another, from the state standpoint, another avenue for them going down the road in the future to say, and to further leverage their funds, instead of loaning out and the pot goes dry, they can just do a credit wrap on a smaller transaction and still have funds to loan out. So it might be something they're quite interested in. So we're looking at that. I will say on the bond insurance component, and all of our numbers that we're looking at today are based on the ability to get bond insurance. We've gone down multiple meetings with our contacts in New York. We stopped them shy. They were ready to spend $20,000 to hire an outside consultant that actually would come in and look at the design, engineering, and timeline of Matt. To give them comfort that yes, this is the construction cost, the timeline, and what they're doing is legit, and yes, it works. So they're ready to spend their own money. So they are far along to where they potentially could wrap this deal with bond insurance and save you a significant amount of money. So if we look at, but I basically told them, don't write that check yet. I actually don't have a defined role with the board. I told Nikki and Perry that I'll go out there and on my time and at my cost and risk to bring you and bring the board, here's how this deal can get done. The state's kind of backing off of it. How are you going to get it done? So we've brought to the table, here's actually how that happens. So here, we've labeled it up here, Tier 1 accounts. I've told Nikki and Perry who the funds that we've talked to, and there's 3 or 4 right now that are pretty much on board. They are names that you see on a daily basis or anytime you turn on the TV. These are well-known names and funds, one of which, even after our meeting with the state, was like, send us some documents, let's start, hashing this thing out. And like, we're not there yet. But we've got serious interest in, and probably can pull them across the finish line shortly. This is the structure of what it would look like. $227 million worth of bonds. We added in, so we basically the pile of money. We wanted to kind of break it out so you can kind of see where it all comes from. $10 million from the ARPA grant, the $7.7 million GO loan from the state. We're estimating that, if we put in the construction account day one, you do earn interest on that from day one. And we just said, well, if it's 24 months level draw, you're going to earn just shy of $7 million in interest on that initial deposit. And then on that 36-month capitalized interest fund, we deposit that. We're also going to earn interest on that. So that goes into the pot. What we're spending it on down below, you can see there's $164 million in construction for the pipe, lake, and treatment plant. There's that $37 million of interest that you're borrowing up front. Again, highly inefficient, but from a 30,000-foot view, that is the way to get it done. You have to have that money sitting in the pot to pay the investors over the next 3 years. The 10% contingency for construction, we're funding 6 months worth of cash reserve fund that would be set there of 7.3, engineering design of 7.3, the construction admin and observation, the cost of issuance, the easement, the land acquisition, the rounding amount. That's the breakout of how it all would be spent to pay for right now the $200 billion project. That's the various components. So the rates, and these are indicative rates that we actually got from the head trader at one of these funds in New York. Back and forth. This is without credit enhancement. This is without anything other than what this project is. And you can see anywhere from 3.75 out to 5.9%. We're looking at a 40-year loan, not 30. We're looking at 40. We've actually done a 40-year loan in the past with the regional wastewater project in Northwest Arkansas, where we teamed up with the state on a joint funding proposal. So, this is essentially what it looked like, and you can see the true interest cost 5.79, and that's about in line with what the WIFIA rate is, I do believe.
True interest cost, yes.
Yep. But that true interest cost takes into account all the cost of issuance and all that. So 5.79% for 40 years. The next slide would show what's the mortgage. That's obviously hard to see.
Well, that's without credit wrap.
This is without, no insurance or credit wrap, just a standalone, this is the project. And again, the risk on this project and why that rate is, up to 5.79, there are no revenues for 3 years. And there's no, once it gets going, you can pretty much assure that it's going to be built, even if Lord knows what happens, that it slows down or, the contractor faces bankruptcy, any factors whatsoever, you still know that you have pretty good confidence that the deal's going to come in and the revenue start flowing. But basically the structure is we're not amortizing, paying off principal for the first 4 years, trying to give you a low annual principal and interest those first 4 years. That is $14.5 million per year principal and interest. 14.6 principal and interest every year for 40 years, essentially. That's what selling the transaction to the tier 1 accounts right now, and we could do it the day that he has the bids and we know that firm number on construction costs. So that money is essentially there with a few minor pieces to the puzzle. Again, that little funding gap from the state or something like that. But that's in place. So then, I know you'd asked earlier, where are we on the wholesale cost? If we stick with the $2.6 billion that's currently in the contracts, and again, we have to change that because Sardis is out, but just the math, 2.6 billion gallons at 540 generates 14.2 million in revenue. and then the raw water from Benton of 1.47 million. So we get 15.8 million total revenues with an annual operating cost of 3.2. So we've got left to pay the mortgage 12.6 million. If we stick with those numbers, 540 at that contract amount of 2.6 billion, we can only generate $137 million of construction amounts. That is $62 million short of what he is needing. So obviously with the math doesn't flow all the way through at 540 at 2.6 billion gallons. So David has put together on the next slide a kind of a matrix so that we can see where would either the minimum takes need to go to and or the wholesale rate to get the $200 million project. If you go all the way bottom, if you wanted to charge $4.90 on the wholesale rate, you would have to have 3.6 billion gallons in the minimum take in those contracts. And based on what's in there right now, that's a 37% increase that would be listed as the minimum take in those contracts. All the way up to basically, at where the contract amounts are right now, you'd have to go to a wholesale rate of $6.40. That's kind of the range we're looking at if we're at 2.6 billion gallons. You know better than I do. I don't know what the numbers that y'all put into the contracts as far as your minimum take, how much room you have, because there are maximum amounts in there as well. So how much room you could have in your budgets to build in that, hey, yes, we could go to, we could increase our minimum takes by 17%. And if that's the case, we're going to be at $5.70 on a wholesale rate. That's to be determined, because y'all know better than I do where your threshold is. So again, so that's the uncredit enhanced tier 1 pricing level. So if we go and do the credit wrap, and we're basing this on bond insurance, but this is what we showed the state. And the one thing down under the use, everything else is the same, it's just more efficient. But the one thing down below on the credit wrap fee, and we're spitballing here, we don't know what that fee is going to be. But if it's 60 basis points, the state or the bond insurance could make almost a $3 million fee by wrapping the deal with credit enhancement.
And they didn't know either.
Yeah, and so, but that also kind of, turned the light on a little bit. They're like, okay, that's a nice revenue source. That's where I think they might be looking, further down the line for other projects. Like, well, maybe we could do this on other deals, and that's a continued inflow of revenue. But for a $3 million one-time upfront fee that's built into the transaction, instead of the 5.79, that brings that down current market to 4.78. But a 1% difference on $200 million is significant. And again, you can't really see that, but that far right side, principal interest is 12.5 million.
Yeah, almost 12.6, so $83 million in savings.
Yeah, to the bottom line, by getting some type of credit enhancement, saves the ratepayers $83 million. Obviously, that's significant. What's the impact on the wholesale rate? It's that same matrix. If we're at 540, we would actually need to increase the minimum contract amounts by 8.5%. To get to 2.8 billion gallons at 540, the deal's paid for, the deal's done. If you wanted to drop it down to 490 wholesale rate, you got about a 20% increase on the minimum takes in your contracts. Again, I don't know what y'all can live with, but that's kind of what we're looking at. If you went up to the 570, which we looked at earlier, that's about where we are, 2.8% increase in the minimum takes right now. So essentially a wash if you went to 570 on a wholesale rate. So that's what we presented to the state to kind of, again, try to get them on the hook to really look at this, the credit wrap from them. As Perry and I have talked, this is, as we are presenting these numbers and kind of putting it all together, it is a fairly vanilla 30,000 foot view of how this would work. We have not, excuse me, we have not broken it out to where Perry calls it tranches, but a various series over the next 2 or 3 years. to where we lessen the impact of that capitalized interest, that 37 million that we'd have to put in, at day one. But that's a possibility. We broached the subject with some of the funds in New York, but we have done funding in the past where it looks like a commercial loan, to where the $200 million is there in an account. And then when, kind of like on the state, when you draw it down is when the interest starts accruing. So you save quite a bit of interest there. So that's a possibility. So that is kind of the fine tuning of how do we bring this thing back to you with, here it is. But I wanted Vicki and Perry to see that there is funding out there. We can get this done for y'all. Let's push a couple of buttons with the state. We'll push a couple of buttons in New York with bond insurance companies, and we're ready to go when Matt bids the project summer or fall. So you've got something there. How does it work with, and it brought up quite a bit with BABA, with the state, on how, if they come in with some of the funding, to be determined, and to work out on, how to avoid some of that and the costly amount. But I will say the credit wrap rate of 4.7, what was the state GO loan? It was north of 5, was it not?
The GO are now for 30 years at 550. So we're
From the
showing-
state?
Yeah, and we're showing 40 year just to make the cash flow that's a little better.
Yeah, so it's a doable project. I mean, there's a story to it. It's been fun because it's not just your typical deal. Each of the individual systems with these contracts are going to have to be modified. You're going to have to go back to, wherever that wholesale rate and whatever that minimum take is going to be, they'll have to be modified. Each system would have their own individual legal counsel give an opinion as to the validity and enforceability of those contracts, so that when we went and did the funding, it's kind of like the regional project up in north central Arkansas when Marshall signed a contract, City Marshall, and then they tried to get out of the project after it was being constructed. Federal court said and because they had legal opinion as to it, the court said, you've got a contract, it's enforceable, you're not going anywhere. You're paying the minimum take that's in that contract, even if you don't take the water. So all of that would have to be done. Obviously your comfort levels with the contracts and the wording on any modifications to it. If we bring in WIFIA, if we bring in any other funding source, we just kind of have to piece all of that together. We don't know the final, how it all works. But we do have very well-known accounts and names that ready to sign documents. Essentially, they're like, hey, come up to New York and let's really negotiate and fix this thing. Like, we're not there yet. I haven't even reported to the board yet. I know that y'all got the RFQ out for a financial consultant. Again, I don't know I don't have a defined role because we've been doing this on our time for you to kind of bring you options. Here's what you're looking at. We're at the point where what steps we need to take. Where do we need to go at this point? So I held off today calling my contact with bond insurance company up in New York. It just kind of giving her an update, but tell her let's take the next step and move forward. Because that's a game changer, whether it's the bond insurance or the state credit enhancement or WIFIA credit enhancement, whatever it is. You can see the movement, the needle moves and makes the affordability of that wholesale rate significantly, better on y'all's part. So that's where we are. It's, he's not going to stop on, they're not going to stop on what they're doing from the individual standpoint. Easements are doing acquisition, but at some point we have to really get ramped up to truly define here's the financing, here's what it's going to look like, here's what that wholesale rate's going to be. Let's go get the contracts modified with opinions to each of those contracts.
Basically, what you're saying is you can fund it from 0 to 200 million.
Yes.
Yep. That sound right, Councilman?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Those are private bonds, so they're taxable.
Tax exempt.
They're tax exempt?
Yep, tax exempt. So yeah, that 5.79 tax exempt on the tier 1 accounts versus what Benton would issue on a 30-year right now probably is mid-4s, maybe a little bit low. I mean, for 30 years, but it's still going to be higher because there's a risk element to this. But again, with bond insurance, we're going out 40 years, and we've got that 3 years capitalized interest. That the average coupon, is significantly less than what you're seeing on 4.7% on a credit enhanced deal. It's inefficient because of that capitalized interest. That builds into that overall cost component. There's ways that we can try to mitigate that, but we haven't taken that next step.
Instead of taking, if you're paying interest on the $164 million from day one, plus, and you divide that in half, you can imagine you're cutting out at least 1/4 of your total interest if you get the second draw or whatever you call it, tranche, halfway through the project. That's a $7 million savings on top of the difference on where you get either credit insurance or you get a guarantee. My hope is that we can get it down further than that, but the shaping the commencement of interest is going to go a long way towards lowering that number from $37 million. And just one thing, as you're considering whether, how to approach your boards about this for the next month, in terms of we're going to need to modify our contracts, are we comfortable with 250 at the way it was originally agreed, or do we want to keep that low and the prices, water will go higher? When you're thinking about that, consider the fact that your maximum guaranteed ability to deliver you water is only 50% higher than your minimum take. So by raising your minimum take by, let's say, 10%, which sounds like good common sense, understand that there's an even narrower band between what you must take by contract, what you must take and what the authority is committing. It has 100% capacity to deliver every day, all day. So there is a balance there between raising the price and raising your minimum. Can your individual entity, each one of your entities, take 10% more water than what they said they would 3 years ago? And would that be an acceptable way to try to get 30,000 price down from your end?
And we're happy to, as you're having discussions with your city councils or boards or whatnot, we're happy to come down, and we've done it many times. Basically, we just call it the roadshow. We'll come down to each individual board because they'll have questions, and they'll have to get into the absolute, the minutia of this. But happy to answer questions for them, kind of show the calculations. So if we get to that point over the next couple of months, but we need to have something, obviously y'all need to have something in place when he's ready to pull the trigger and bid the project and award that. You need to have the funding lined up and ready to go. And that's been part of the difficulty on our end is when so many times these big funds, when you talk to them in New York about $200 million, they're like, it's no big deal. Yes, they want to participate because they've got trillions of dollars they need to get invested. But to convince them, we're looking at not firm commitments. We're looking at your replies, your interest, and yes, you will take this deal if it looks like this 9 months from now. Because we started back in November, December, and some of the funds just couldn't. They can't wrap their heads around that. But the two largest funds in the world are, and we've been on the phone. Matt was on the phone with one of them. We even had their head traders again on the phone with us, which you never get on the phone. They are very interested in this project. Essential Service Water Revenue got a little hair on it because of the contract issue, and the revenues don't flow till until the water does. But we've got them in line. We just don't know from y'all, and don't need an answer tonight, but don't know from what our next step is, what you would like for us to do for you at this point.
Fair enough. sir.
That's as quick and as condensed as I can do it. That's your third time you've seen it, so.
Do we have a copy of his presentation?
That's what scared bejeebies out. If anybody sees that, it needs to stay confidential. Yeah.
Yeah,
But this is a public meeting, but,
As I say,
yeah, it is a public meeting, but,
it's just on the screen, which is gonna be on YouTube.
yes.
Yeah, no, I did not bring the hard copies. I'm happy to email that presentation to each one of y'all individually. You can have it. Not a problem.
Sure.
Because, I mean, that is public.
The,
And, yeah,
It's hypothetical.
yeah, a couple questions. One, thank you very much. It's the first time I've seen a complete business package that, you know, this is going to take to completely do the project. It does include the distribution line from the water plant out to the system, so that's a turnkey everything. Okay, everything's in the mix. And then I didn't understand the differences between if we just finance it completely out of private or if we use the wrap. It's going to mean all of us are going to have to buy a little bit more water to basically fund it.
Yes.
But it's doable. So that's the first time I've heard that we can actually make this happen, and we're not that far away from where we're at right now.
You're in the ballpark.
Yeah.
And what makes this really attractive is there are take-or-pay contracts, which are not common in Arkansas. So that's, when you put that minimum in there, that you're going to take it whether you use that water or not, you know the revenue's going to flow in. So that has a lot of teeth to it.
That 3-year interest is basically the construction period, right? And is that us doing everything simultaneously, full blown?
We gotta bid it all out at once.
And start turning.
Everything's getting constructed at the same time, not just one after another.
So that, you know, as I'm sitting listening to Bozeman's office, and he said you can't reimburse yourself, and I wasn't gonna get into the weeds with him, it's like, let's say you get a $10 million grant that comes in, or any other grants, or any other type of funding, we could easily build the language into the documents to allow you to pay off debt. We did it with NACA, when the actual bids came in under, on that regional wastewater Northwest Arkansas, they paid, I think at the time, maybe $40 million off once the project was done. So Matt, you know, they realized that if they bring it in 27 months, that we have a much larger pot that we put 36 months into that capitalized interest. So there's a big savings out there that we immediately go pay off debt and save millions, potentially millions. And could that, you never really want to talk about, well, at that point you could lower the wholesale rate, but you can't. That's y'all's decision.
Right.
But, so there's incentives out there to make the contractors bring that in the time that we need.
Tier 1, all private funds, we're not obligated to BABA.
No.
But if we bring the NRC in, and that's non-federal funds that they're using to do the credit wrap, we're still not obligated for BABA?
I think it depends on which fund it comes out of.
I didn't hear.
It depends on which fund it comes out
Yeah,
of, is what.
yeah, is the GO obligation not, it's state money, and you don't have to have BABA. So if we stay in that funding category, we could do the credit wrap out of general obligation funds, no BABA, there's a savings there, and we're all private, we got all those hurdles we don't have to jump through.
The only problem with the GO fund is it's only $30 million a year, so they're not gonna designate all $30 million to probably one entity. But that's what Debbie's looking into, is what different pools of money does she have and what can she use to?
What was the interest cost on an annual basis? $7 million, or what was it?
Just the interest itself.
Just the interest itself.
It was about 7. Yeah, and that's, that first.
On a credit wrap, the initial first 4 years would be about 10 million.
That's $10 million.
Yes, and obviously it goes down over time as.
The $130 million from NRC could cover that 3 years.
Well, and she even said, so the $7.5 million that they've already committed to use, like, so what if we use that $7.5 million to plug that little piece of the puzzle beyond that 36 months and designate that out there? And then that means you just put $7.5 million, it's just shifting. But we don't want to lose that $7.5 million, you know. So, you know, again, there's moving parts, and they're looking at all of that. But that's the one thing we do need from the state, for them to plug that hole beyond the 36 months. We've identified that. I'm pretty confident, I mean, y'all heard them too. I think they'll come in with with an option to do that for us. Now, can we get them to that credit wrap? We asked, and, and showed them, you can save the ratepayers of Saline County $83 million, to see what you can figure out. And Debbie is open, unlike previous, that's no longer there, she's open and she's digging into it and kind of excited about it, so we'll see.
So this is great. I'm very excited about finally seeing a complete business plan. One question I have, Perry, is can we just go with this, or do we have to consider other proposals from other financial entities because of the publicness of this all?
We don't have to consider other proposals. I think the basic computation is mathematical. Let's say we're counting on getting $10 million as an appropriation from the federal government on account of the presentation that was made by Senator Bozeman's staffer.
Yes,
let's say we get another $40 million.
Yeah.
Way short of 49% of our funds from WIFIA. Okay, we've got $50 million there. What's that $50 million, 10 of which we'll never have to repay? What's that really going to cost us? And to answer your question, this may be the way to go. Numbers need to be crunched, obviously, but it's sounding more and more like we can stay away from BABA, no matter if it's $8 million of free money or not.
Right. I'm with you. Okay.
But making sure that we can, like a fine sawtooth instead of a big frequency sawtooth, I don't know how you engineers would describe it, but as close that we can hew our grabbing money to when we need it, the lower that $37 million goes.
We've been coloring with crayons, and it's time to start working with, a very sharp pencil to really define this thing. But we had to show something to New York conceptually, numbers-wise. Hey, does this work? Do the economics work? Obviously, we're close, but we're not, we're not there just with the Tier 1 help. Mm-hmm. But that gives us the comfort that we've got funding in place. Then to take it to the credit enhancement, credit wrap, try to then, really bring that down.
So maybe to help answer Jason's question, Jason, so typically, Bob's done a bunch, many municipal bonds in the whole state, a lot with us. So typically, he would take a deal and they would take it to market, right? Yep.
Right.
So he'd take it to market, and he might say, he may take a $50 million CAW deal to market. And then they'd have all these investors trying to buy it. That's not this. This is a different deal because we don't really have a market for that. So we're a little bit of a unicorn.
Okay.
I don't know if
That's true. That's very true.
And so they've done the due diligence to go out and sell it directly to these investors who typically buy municipal bond money. So they've gone and tried to make a deal one-on-one, which is not typically what they do. Typically, they're just going to the market, they get orders, and they sell it. And so that's why I'm saying it's a little bit different in that respect.
This is a little bit more custom one-on-one.
Yes, I'm very.
Yeah, to specific investors.
What they've done here, just
I got you.
to get this deal brought to the private bond market, because it's a not negotiated, but it's taking it, it's selling it to somebody who knows, to an investor who they know has a history of buying it and who's interested in these type of muni bonds. And so that's different than typically if Ben were to go sell a $30 million bond, they just take it to market.
That's just taking orders on that.
As long as that, and this is over my head, as long as the procurement process meets the rules.
Yeah.
I think
and I
that's asking earlier, really.
And it's not my place to speak, but yeah, you don't have to go and bid out for professional services on something like that for whether we're a placement agent or underwriter. There's no requirement on that.
Okay. So I'm gonna shut up. I want to listen to y'all's questions.
It's good. We've waited a long time to hear this.
This is what I've been waiting to hear, is a complete plan that's close to the ballpark of what we're trying to do. Still a little bit to swallow, but
see, this is why Chris was taken aback. It was like, what? this is what I've been waiting to hear, what you just said. The plan, so I'm not on the hook for $150 million of state funds, which they don't have, by the way. And so he was like, this is a different ask than we had before this meeting started.
We'll take a 30 million grant and we'll never ask again from him. And he's still got all the rest of that money to go give, go finance out. Make a deal with him.
And I think this wrap could really, if this thing really materializes and it is a thing, they can start using this as a tool in their toolbox down there.
I think that's what's got them excited, looking into it. She just can't find one yet, a state that's done it. It's been done because it's by statute. They have the ability, it is written in the statutes that they can do credit enhancement if it lowers the interest rate, the borrowing cost for an entity. So it's there. So the hard part is in place. The mechanics of it, even the Friday firm that does the vast majority of the bonds in the state from the legal work, they don't know how to do it. Doesn't mean it, that's what makes this fun is this isn't just taking orders or preventing. This is frankly out there selling and creating something that has a long-lasting impact on Saline County. So that's what we're trying to get done. So
I should say that WIFIA has a very similar program, a very similar, instead of lending you money, we'll guarantee your loans program. And the representatives there hadn't really ever heard of it being used either. So neither at the state nor the federal, we're getting maybe more creative than some other entities have gotten, and getting these administrators to think outside the box and look at their own enabling statutes that tell them they can do it. Where's the form?
Y'all could be on the cutting edge of how this all works. But again, if we didn't put in the work now and you got to the point where he's ready to bid it out, he's like, how are we gonna pay for it? Y'all been spinning wheels for a long time with nothing to accomplish. It won't get accomplished. So, we're at that point. I even told Dickie that if we did the rating, the credit rating on the deal to help the state or help anybody else, we've had conversations with S&P, Standard & Poor's, but I was not going to send them a credit package and then show up at this meeting and go, oh, by the way, here's a $70,000 rating fee. That's not my role right now. I don't have a defined role for the board right now. So we've just been kind of working on the side, trying to bring something to y'all, and then get it further defined. Because he's looking at the there's still a lot of moving parts. But we have something in place.
At this point, Bob, would you recommend that a indicative rating be obtained, whether it be for your group or elsewhere, or way off?
We haven't, if we hear back from the state on what their involvement's going to be, then we have a whole credit package that we could send to them. Right now, there's still holes in the dike that we haven't plugged, the 36-month deal. So we want to be able to answer all of their questions before you try to get an indicative rating. I think it very well could benefit you when we're ready to get that point, but we're probably a couple months even at that before we take that next step. If the state comes back to us and they can do credit enhancement, or the bond insurance company, we can save money if we have a rating on the deal. It just impacts their pricing level. But if they say, yes, go get the rating, we're comfortable in wrapping this with bond insurance, at that point, maybe we take that step. Don't want to jump out too fast and get a bad rating. I'll send to you, because obviously you have everybody's email address. I will send this report when I get to the office tomorrow, so you'll have it. Feel free to reach out to David or I with any questions, and we've got it all modeled in, so we can start running any type of scenarios and such. But again, it all hinges that when they bid that out, it comes in, we're, again, at 200 million, we know what to shoot for, but we don't pull the trigger on financing until we have a hard number in those, in the construction bids.
Can you, this is an outside question, when we go back to our boards, can you run scenarios of some money from Bozeman, pull a number out, some money from WIFIA, some money from ANRC, and Bob has 120 million or...
Yeah, so that's sources and uses. We just put it, the sources, the pile of money, we'll just plug in, $10 million federal grant and see how that filters down. And then that matrix that he built that shows the wholesale rate, we can plug in anything. If WIFIA comes in and we say, all right, then we're going to do, such and such funding over here and marry those two together, we can do any of that. But we don't know those numbers yet. But if your board says, what is the $10 million, what's the impact on wholesale rate? And if that helps sell the, Senator Bozeman's office to say 10 million saves 5 cents per thousand for all of Saline County wholesale, and what does that do for you? You can kind of start putting in those detailed numbers of the impact on the citizens of Saline County.
That's what it's gonna come back to. And we go back to our boards and we sit down and say, this is what it costs us, $5.40, $5.20. This is our indicative rate right here, barring any other 25 cents. And so these numbers, this is what we're going to pay per thousand per month. And then it gives them something they can understand.
Yep.
And we might not have to add water to what we want to take. But if we do, here this is. We talk about all that, but when you sit down with these boards, I know Kim's and mine and Bob's and everybody here are the same way. They're going to ask, first thing they're going to ask, what's this going to cost me per thousand?
Well, it was asked 2 or 3 times earlier, and it's like, I've got some, it is a moving target. But again, I think individually, each individual system, because it's been, if it's been 3 years since y'all signed those contracts, for instance, and put those minimum takes in there, what are the takes that y'all, are comfortable with? The raw water from Benton that generates revenue of $1.4 million, what, is there any component there that can move on the Benton side? I don't know, so individually, y'all kind of have to look and digest. We can certainly help and look at your audits and go, if your wholesale cost is this and you add this cost component to your operating side, what does it do to your, to your rates? Do you have to pass a rate along to your, and what's that going to be? I mean, we can certainly help crunch those numbers as well, but that along with, the engineers, but.
And we could do that before you come to a Salem meeting, okay?
Yep.
And they'd have good questions for you.
Okay.
Which
Yeah.
will be coming.
That's, yes,
They're familiar with you.
oh yeah, no, I'd go way back with Salem.
Yes, sir.
I mean, all y'all. So, we're happy to do a roadshow and answer those questions, but I will get this presentation to you. And then individually, if anybody wants to, and I'll plug in 10 million, Bozeman grant and just kind of see what that does
That's
on both of those, and I'll send that along as well on the email. And then, again, how much of WIFIA or how much the state's going to provide, that there's so many variables that moves that needle. But we continue to move forward until we know what's WIFIA, what's the state, what's Bozeman going to be, and we have a final say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Taking the concept of buying water at a price that's not yet determined, but will be based on these components, has already been agreed to.
Right.
I'd hate to think that we'd be going back and reinventing the wheel with our individual constituencies. At bottom, WIFIA money and state money and private money with a credit wrap are all going to be in the very high 4s. Private money without a credit wrap is going to be in the 5.5 to 5.75 range. There's going to be further savings with about $5 to $8 million that I can see in saving interest if we consolidated this thing.
Yep.
So what number comes out as a per thousand price is it's not something that anything our boards are gonna do is gonna control when it comes to the average homeowner's bill. It's either gonna be made up in the $2.50 we've got now, or the board's gonna decide to go down to 25 cents, which will have an impact on the per thousand price. And that's the decision I think next month y'all are gonna have to start to make.
Right, and it's coming down to that. And we're all, not all of us, but a lot of us are raising rates at our facilities. So I want to make that kind of balance out. We're doing this and this and this, and an about number has caused us more problem there than anything. So.
Yeah, it's, you know, if it started in the $5 range and numbers been kind of bantied around $5.40, $5.50,
yes,
we could deliver it at the $5.40, $5.50. Obviously, the takes are going to have to go up.
that's all.
You know, no one wants it at $6.40. We understand that, but we built it in just so you can see it. But you know, at some point, you know, if it's going to be that mid upper 5 range, you know, around 5.75 or so, and then build your minimum takes into the contracts at that point, because again, we just carved out Sardis just from tonight. You know, that impacts the numbers, but you know, does it save on the construction costs by carving out Sardis? So moving parts, don't know. But I mean, we'll continue on our end to work. I mean, we're actually getting, now that we've got 3 or 4 very large funds, they're actually calling us, where do we stand, what's next? We've got one fund we hadn't even put on the phone yet. They're like, don't forget about us. So that interest is out there, so you can at least know that we've got a plan in place. You know, now that we have to start refining that, and you know, we're working with Barry and with you and the state, and I think once we hear back from Debbie and Chris from the state on what they can do, kind of gives us direction on the next approach. I tried my best to be short, but it never happens. I'm sorry.
Well, we have a need to know. And you
were going to stay on there. I was just going to go home with my checkbook. So.
That's right. You did great. I tell you, further than we've been in many years, my friend.
I appreciate y'all's time. And again, there's been a lot of work, you know, that y'all didn't ask us to do and engage us to do, but we did it because I needed to get to this point where you know there's options out there and there's things we can get done. And we just need to kind of know what's that next step. What do we need to?
Come back next month, anytime. You don't have to have an invite. Come on.
Okay. We'll continue to work. We'll have more information, and Perry and I will stay in touch on on what he's working on versus what we're working on. If and when we hear from the state, we'll send that out to the group so you can kind of see what their thinking is. Because right now, she's, like I said, she has not found the specifics, so we don't know the mechanics of it. But when we hear from them, y'all will be the first to know, and to keep y'all informed and in touch on that as well.
Perfect. Thank you. Any more questions? If not, I'd like to take a short stop and have, if we have anyone in the public that would like to speak, we can do that before we have this. We're going to come back into session. Anybody got a question? Anybody need to say anything? If not, thank you.
Bob's going to stay, so he's going to take off.
Take off. Hit the road. Be safe.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Could we go to the room back there where we were before? And all right, back in regular session, there was no action taken. We were just discussing and working some things out. A lot going on in regional water. We want to be sure everybody got where they need to be. So,
Dick,
We need to
announce the outcome of the discussion.
Yes, we need to announce the outcome of the discussion with Rhonda.
yes.
If somebody wants to
Sure.
basically discuss, I don't know, if it's not a motion, it's more of a,
Yeah.
I don't know if you just
We're
want
going
to
to
make
do
a
it just like we
statement.
talked about. Rhonda, in the past, or a few months ago, she decided to cut her pay from $1,800 to $1,400 because, you know, her work had dropped off some. Well, now then, Brett and Sean and Perry have stepped that up, and we would like to put her back up to $1,800. And
She can, I think the statement was she can voluntarily start charging us what was originally approved.
yes, that's why we'd like to have it in there.
With what she was approved to charge us.
Approved to charge. Yep. Any questions? No motion? And we'll let her know, start doing that immediately. All right, before we adjourn, a lot of things going on in the money world. It's kind of exciting, and we're going to see how that plays out. I'm sure we'll have a lot of conversations with each other in the long run. Any comment on Bob's thing? I thought it was pretty awesome. You know, the whole thing, they worked hard. So, if not, we need to decide a date for next month's meeting, because the 4th Thursday now is in the middle of spring break. Is that right?
That is correct.
Will not be here, that's right.
Will not be here.
Let's shift that, gentlemen. Perry can't be here. What kind of date do we have there? The one before, the one in the week sooner?
If it's for discussion, I'd say a week sooner, for the simple reason that by that time we'll need to address the letter of intent for,
yes,
with you.
I like that.
If I may interject, could we make it the Tuesday, the week before, on the 17th?
Like you're talking about March the 19th?
What was the
I'm going to
date?
be out March the 19th, so I was hoping we could do March 17th.
On Tuesday, March
Tuesday.
17th.
Let me make sure the courtroom's available.
There you
We
go.
may have to go back to the fire department, but we may have to.
That'd be all right.
Anything on the city calendar?
Yeah,
That's St. Patty's Day,
it is St. Patrick's Day.
but I'm not seeing anything on the calendar.
Are y'all all on St. Patrick's Day?
I don't think I'm just making that note. That's the only.
We didn't move council as a result of spring break or anything, did we?
Not that I've been told yet.
Okay.
So, still looking on, I'm just looking at the city website.
Keep working, y'all doing good.
I'm good with the 17th.
I'm okay with 17 because it's not going to be me.
Anybody else? 17th? Going once?
I'm fine.
Going twice?
Good, I'm good.
I don't know.
Okay, sure.
19th?
17th,
17th?
next meeting, March 17th, Tuesday night, March 17th.
Okay, so March 17th.
If this is,
Yeah.
what about, do we want to move it, or we want to change it to another night if this is not available?
Either that, we can change the location. We can either go back to the fire training room for the one meeting, or if that needs to
That'd be
be.
fine.
We've lost our audience now.
Yeah,
We moved in here because we had all the people, remember?
we needed this very bad a few months back.
You haven't got the
We
recording.
lost our audience again. Yeah.
We'll have to do the tape.
You're gonna have to have it here for the recording.
Exactly.
Can we do something in the fire training room, since Philip's our IT guy, he can do anything.
Probably Jordan question, honestly, because I think we could just set up a tripod and film from a camera. It's what we normally do for
That'd be
meetings
fine.
that aren't, you know,
Yes.
if we don't have a camera access to them.
Oh, crap. My mayor's busy.
So you'll get to come back.
See you next month.
Lord, it's nice to laugh at one of these meetings, and, oh man, we have earned
I
it.
don't know if proxies can sign checks, but.
Working hard.
I will.
You need another motion?
No, adjourn. Hey, I'm ready, I'm moving towards adjournment.
Meeting.